Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So now that we have finished our wander with Beatrix Potter, I have completed 3 beautiful books. The first one is a smaller junk journal, and the other 2 are the Beatrix Potter Scrapbooks Volume 1 and Volume 2. So this is Volume 1, and I've created these as though they could be one of Beatrix Potter's scrapbooks from her life. So this is Volume 1, the earlier life of Beatrix Potter. These are both made inside these large books that are padded. They are stuffed on the inside, and they have this incredible embossing on them. I have painted them. They are like yellowy blue with some shimmery, purple. I chose this for the front plate. This is a portrait of Beatrix Potter, and I've added Peter Rabbit here to sort of bring her story and herself into one kind of image. I've gilded the edge, and I've done some painting and some more dots of gold, and it's just a fun little piece on the front. Then here I've added some lace. You'll see some hand stitching here. The whole book is stitched together, so the spine was created by me. It is a 2.5, I believe, inch spine. Possibly bigger. Let me double check. These are mammoths, these books. So it's actually 3 inches, 3-inch spine. And this is some Beatrix Potter fabric. And at the back, more stitching and more of that same color. I have used gold eyelets and seam binding to close this big book. So let's get into it. So this book begins, and let me just try to get, I know I'm pulled out kind of far, but these books are big, so I have to be a little far out. Just to give you an idea, they are 11 by 8.25. So the front pocket, the end papers are the same. I hand made these by taking all the little illustrations out of a bunch of Beatrix Potter's little tiny books and, adding them onto one piece of paper, fitted it to the size of the fabric covered spine, and stitched around the edge, and then used some mixed media kind of inking techniques and coffee to just give it a really nice like patina. And then I added one of those classic front of every little Beatrix Potter books, those little plates with her characters. Then inside we have this large journal card of Beatrix as a young girl with her dog, and we have all the bunnies there and birds. That's a large journal card. And then this was a fun piece that we made on day 1. I thought rabbits, carrot. This is made from actually a vintage squeaky toy, and it's fabric, and it's a little journal card of this hilarious little carrot. So this begins with a page from a Beatrix Potter book with Squirrel Nutkin. These pages you'll see throughout both of the scrapbooks. They were a larger format, kind of treat for the Beatrix Potter content, because most of the images are quite small, so it's nice when you get the big ones. So I've left these pages alone because the little stories are just nice to have to read. You could certainly write in the in-betweens. You could cover these if you want to. I think my intention here is truly to have the user use them as a scrapbook. So paste things in, replace this with a picture of your dog or your kid or you, or paint over it, do little bits of art, whatever you'd like to do. Then this is a large piece of construction paper with this Peter Rabbit tuck. This is Beatrix as a young girl, and I put it in this frame and made this little cabinet card that just tucks in here. Over here we have a little collage. It says a damp little house. And then here we have, what's funny is all of the names of all the characters are like, they're like leaving my head because I've done so much Beatrix Potter. This is the pig, Mr. Piggly Wiggly or whatever, I forget his name, but this is actually, it's the lady pig, and she's peeling potatoes. The carnations up here were drawn by Beatrix Potter at age 14, and then this is a little letter that she wrote to her father. So Other than this journal card, there's also this. If acorns were teacups, what should we have to drink? Why, honeydew for sugar in a cuckoo pint of milk, with pat of witch's butter and a tansy cake, I think, laid out upon a toadstool on a cloth of cobweb silk. So that goes in here, that little tuck, and that goes in the upper tuck. And this whole thing is actually on a big envelope from a really pretty garden planning book. And you'll see these envelopes throughout both of the scrapbooks. And inside we have this large journal card here of Peter Rabbit. And that just tucks in here. All of these pockets are filled with these journal cards. There's plenty of room for more to go in there if you want. You can leave them open or you can close them, completely up to you. Here we have a little collage of this little guinea pig and one of my die cut flowers, and this little tag that flips over the page. We have a little kitten here drawn by Beatrix Potter. This is all art by Beatrix Potter. I will not say over and over, this is by Beatrix Potter. I'll tell you if it isn't. Maybe that might be better. I've collaged her bunnies on here. This is like a really pretty English garden background. And this is a large format avocado dyed vintage encyclopedia. And this is the market here, Benjamin Bunny and Son Greengrocers. This is a belly band made from a botanical tree book. You'll see lots of botanicals as well because that's also another part of Beatrix Potter's life. This is the first of 5 tabs that I have made from the Beatrix Potter fabric that go throughout the book. And this is a tall, like booklet style journal card. And we have Mrs. Tiggy Winkle and this little girl here. And this has been stitched on to this Peter Rabbit paper. Another large format page from the book, Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, rather. This is cabbage dyed paper. And on here we have this large Peter Rabbit spread to write on. This is I Love Carrots, and we have garden down here with some florals and this little stamp about Peter Rabbit. And then we have Jemima Puddle Duck there. This is a stitched on packaging paper kind of pages, but in here we have the 2 bad mice, and I've stitched fabric on both sides. This is just a nice center spread. Actually, no, this is the Tailor of Gloucester. And this is an emerald moth and a little Beatrix Potter illustrated moth. And up here we have more collage of her bunny. More Peter Rabbit, and it says clumsy here. This is the meeting of all of the frogs with Mr. Jeremy Fisher. Some Peter Rabbit portraits on the tail of Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, and there she is, the washerwoman of the Lake District. And this is a botanical collage with Peter Rabbit. This journal card. Mr. Jeremy Fisher. With kind and twinkly eyes, we have this little mouse carrying some food on a tray. Love of Nature, and this was a nephew to Beatrix Potter, and I just did a little collage with some botanicals. Mr. Jeremy Fisher fishing away here. This is from a vintage book from the 1930s. I believe it's 1932 or 35, called The Four Bunnies, and it's beautiful black and white photography. So this one they're in a bakery, and this is this beautiful painting, and we've added Peter Rabbit there. This is the avocado dyed encyclopedia. And then throughout the book, I have added snippets of nature because Beatrix Potter did do a lot of nature study. So here we have this bit here, the curly or curry. Yeah, curry. And this is, sorry, is it curlew? Yeah, curlew. They say curry. I couldn't remember. So they make the sound curry, and their names are curlew. And then this little tabs you'll see throughout the book too. This one is Squirrel Nutkin. The other side of that fun envelope, and it has inside of it this black bunny here. It's one of my favorite images from Beatrix Potter on this fun paper. This is from the same garden organizer as the actual envelope. So just a beautiful collection of paper. And then back here on the other side, I've added a tuck spot here of the bunnies, and then a Benjamin bunny on this piece of art. And that's a journal card. A little Peter Rabbit sneaking under Mr. McGregor's fence, and a little Beatrix Potter collage. Another page from the book. We've got old Mr. Brown and Squirrel Nutkin here. This is a large fabric pocket made from Beatrix Potter fabric on some of my eco-printed paper. And this is Beatrix walking her bunny on a leash. This is Benjamin Bunny in 1891, and I've collaged them on top of this lovely piece of art. And on back we have this bunny collage. Over here we have a page from one of the little Beatrix Potter books. And then this is a fun picture from an English landscape book. And I've got Peter running down the street, and inside him eating some carrots. Like a little card to write on. Some of the mice. And this is a little, this is like a little flip up. So we have a fairy and a dragonfly and lots of color going on. And this frog inside that reminds me of Mr. Jeremy Fisher, and it's a tip up with more writing space. And over here, one of the guinea pigs, actually, is that Timothy Tittlemouse, I think? Yeah. And then the Bluebell of Scotland here. So Scotland was a place that Beatrix Potter did frequent. And some more botanicals down here. Another fabric pocket of the bunnies from the Beatrix Potter fabric with Squirrel Nutkin stitched on here. And this is on one of those envelopes, and we have this botanical journal card inside. Lots of garden plants and weeds. And then on this side in the envelope, we have this. This is old Mr. Brown reading the tale of Squirrel Nutkin. It's a large journal card that just pops in here. And then this is a belly band made from Beatrix Potter fabric on Avocado Dyed Encyclopedia. And here we have Peter pulling on his jacket and looking out at these Herdwick sheep. This was another part of Beatrix's life where she became a shepherdess, and she was one of the foremost kind of breeders and shepherdesses who brought the Herdwick sheep into the forefront and supported that sheep breed. Another little ticket of Peter Rabbit. This is some beautiful wallpaper. Just sort of espouses the whole feeling of Beatrix Potter to me. And then a swan, a little bit about swans here. And another page from the large Beatrix Potter book. A little mouse that she illustrated and a fabric tab. This is a pocket here. This was a piece that I made with my friends during our round robin, and I just felt like the overall feel of it sort of speaks to the nature of Beatrix Potter. I didn't want every single thing to be Beatrix Potter in this book. So this is a journal card, and this is a character from Sesame Street. I forget her name, but she was introduced, I think, in 2023 to talk to children about, I believe, like parents who are dealing with addiction and homelessness, as well as the foster care situation. So another, of course, Sesame Street hitting a lot of important topics. And this says we lose ourselves in books, we find ourselves there too. And we have these birds and flowers. And for me, this kind of just, it encapsulates a lot of like what childhood can be. You know, sometimes we come from like all different directions, but hopefully like we find a good path eventually. And I think Beatrix Potter did that too in some ways, although she was born into wealth. I think for her there was this pervasive feeling of wanting to feel connected with nature and the land and preserve the land, especially shown in her work in the Lake District. So, you know, although we can't pick where we're born or what we do, we can certainly forge a path in life. And that's sort of how that journal card speaks to me. This is a little page from one of her books about Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies. They went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. And there he is, squeezing under the gate. And then just a little sampling of botanicals sort of thrown on the page. This is a poem by Lillian Moore, The Tree on the Corner. I've seen the tree on the corner in spring, bud, and summer green. Yesterday it was yellow gold. Then a cold wind began to blow. Now I know you really do not see a tree until you see its bones. And there's Peter again, squeezing under the fence and then eating some carrots. We have this little squirrel. And then here is a depiction of a farmer from the Lake District. There's no known actual Mr. McGregor, but many men have been photographed in his honor, and many men actually do like role playing as Mr. McGregor as part of like, you know, historical and storytelling things that are done for Beatrix Potter. So I wanted to include him there. Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" And there we have him illustrated with his rake and little Peter running away. And then this beautiful page is another of the large pages from the book. The End of the Tale of Benjamin Bunny. More botanicals and that wallpaper. Buds by Elizabeth Coatsworth. When all the other leaves are gone, the brown oak leaves still linger on, their branches ornate, obstinately lifted to frozen wind and snow-deep drifted. But when the winter is well past, the brown oak leaves drop down at last to let the little buds appear, no larger than a mouse's ear. And I've added a little Beatrix Potter mouse up here reading the book of the Tale of Gloucester. The Tailor of Gloucester, rather. Another of those 4 little bunnies. I made a pocket with this one. And inside we have this little piece of art. So this is the original art from the art book of these kids. And then I added Jemima Puddle Duck and her friends here. While they were in difficulties, there was a pit-paddle-pat, and the 3 puddle ducks came along the hard high road, marching one behind the other and doing the goose step. Pit-pat-paddle-pat, pit-pat-waddle-pat. And that is on some avocado dyed encyclopedia. Then we have this envelope, and inside of it is this journal card of Peter Rabbit with a wheelbarrow. Tuck in there. The other side of that beautiful envelope. And then we have these little girls down here having a tea party. This was a scene that was recreated for Jeremy Fisher and for Mrs. Tiggy Winkle. This is the original illustration of Mrs. McGregor, which I love. She was asked by Warren to re-illustrate her, though. Beatrix Potter always felt conscious of drawing humans, figures, so she didn't take offense to being asked to redraw her, but I kind of wish she never did. I love this depiction. And then this page is sort of a little tribute to how a lot of children would write to Beatrix Potter, and she would write them back these tiny letters in tiny little envelopes as though they were written by her characters. So we have this little Benjamin Bunny, the mailman, here carrying a letter, and this is a little Christmas card from Little Black Rabbit with lots of kisses and an illustration she did of carrots. Then we have a letter box, and it's actually got a slot cut into it that has a couple of letters inside. So these are both from Peter Rabbit to 2 different kids. This is also, I believe, no, it's not a tuck spot, outside of the letterbox, sorry. So I'll read one of them to you. Dear Master Drew, I am pleased to hear you like Miss Potter's books. Miss Potter is drawing pigs and mice. She says she has drawn enough rabbits, but I am to be put into one picture at the end of the pig book. Your affectionate friend, Peter. So these are little journal cards. They're like little letters, and they just pop in there. Then here we have a puzzle that was created for Peter Rabbit, and I added a couple of mushroom puzzle pieces there to just kind of complete the puzzle. Another large book page from the Beatrix Potter book. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. And we have Peter's jacket and the river redwing blackbird and a female and another blackbird there. This is my eco printed paper, and this is a little collage journal tag that I made as part of Round Robin, and I think it just has a nice feel to it. So it's got vintage bingo cards in the background. It says, entirely covered by forest, a wonderful summer, how lovely it was in the light, at home in the trees. And we have a little girl and a woman there, and some strawberries, and a little eyelet holding out red tie, and I felt like it espouses the feel of Beatrix Potter. Same as this, we have this is made from Beatrix Potter coloring book, this pocket, and then this is a mixed media sort of cottage journal card that I made. We have a mushroom on the back here, and on the front we have a little fairy and mushrooms. Mushrooms and fungus were something that Beatrix Potter illustrated at length. This has a really nice texture to it. It's actually like painted paper towel that was done by Shell at Shell's Creative Chaos, and these little bits here were from my friend Mary Ellen at Red Parrot, and they actually were made by her mother, and so she was very sweet to share them with me. And this is some book spine, and this beautiful painting of a butterfly, and it says little cottage at the edge of the wood. Then this is some really pretty wallpaper with orange butterflies and lilac and violets. And I've taken this picture here of the Warren family, and I have put it in a little frame, and it's got this little thing here. It just kind of reminded me of those little slotted cabinet cards, and so I made my own cabinet card. It's a tip up for more writing space. And then over here we have this little stack of The Tale of Peter Rabbit, and this is kind of a throwback to like the publishing days when finally Beatrix Potter was published. She first self-published her own little book, and then this is a really cute little journal card. So it's a bit of collaging with this vintage paper. It says rain or shine on it, and then this is a picture of Harrods and a little old image of Peter Rabbit as a mohair toy. A Peter Rabbit by Steiff of Germany, circa 1904, might be the same make that Beatrix saw in Harrods during the store's expansion to its current size. So even Steiff picked up on Peter Rabbit. And we have this fun little tab up here. I made all sorts of those fun little tabs. And then some botanicals scattered around here. And this is another of the large pages. This is Mrs. Tiggy Winkle. And then this beautiful carriage in London here with a squirrel nutkin sitting atop. I just collaged that on this construction paper. And then over here is the page that I did for the Tale of Gloucester. So if you are watching my series, you would have probably seen me make this page. So we have the Tailors of Gloucester here, so the fabric and threads collage. And then in this little tuck spot here, we have this little journal card from the Tailor of Gloucester. And another little fabric collage here. This is a tuck spot, by the way. I should grab something to show you. These are where the tuck spots are, so that's a tuck spot for you to fill. And then another large page from the book. And here we have some Snowdon Lily. And there's more Beatrix Potter illustration here. This is a big tuck spot with the Tailor of Gloucester on my avocado dyed paper. And then this is a large Peter Rabbit piece of stationery, and that just tucks in there. Then we have this squirrel, and this is a squirrel nutkin kind of page, so that's a tuck spot. This is also a pocket with this little girl here. So in the fall, when the nuts ripen, Nutkin and the other squirrels build little rafts of twigs and paddle away over the water to Owl Island. And here they are paddling away. And I believe this is one of Frederick Warren's daughters, her publisher, and a squirrel nutkin there. And then this little flip, we have squirrel nutkin on the front and a little carrot stamp. And so this actually, it flips outward like this, and you see this pretty Beatrix Potter paper here. And then when you pull this journal card out the side, we've got this spring onion and a little Peter Rabbit there. And that just pops on in here. And then this also has an upper top tuck spot that has this tag. So there's a window envelope here, and this has some more of the bunnies and this beautiful plant. And so that tucks down inside here. Then on this side, I've done this little collage with these garden stamps, and this is a 1913 Montreal book page. And in here we have some of the mice. So Too Bad Mice. The mice discover that the doll's food is rock hard and stuck to the plates. They hurl it to the floor. Bang, bang, smash, smash. So in Too Bad Mice, they're in this dollhouse, and I made this little kind of cabinet card because it tells some of the history of the dollhouse and the story of Too Bad Mice. Winifred Warren and the Doll's House Made for Her by Norman Warren in 1904. The kind of house where one cannot sit down without upsetting something, Beatrix said. I know the sort. And don't we all? I always think of like our grandparents' sitting rooms or something. And this is one of the little letters that Beatrix wrote to a child, to Mrs. Duchess Bell Green from Ribby. And then a little postcard of Peter Rabbit there. And then this is the Mrs. Tiggywinkle spread. So we have an upper tuck spot. So Mrs. Tiggywinkle was the washerwoman of the Lake District of the Beatrix Potter universe. So that's a tuck spot. We have a little Mrs. Tiggywinkle down here. And these up here, they actually have the names of what these clothing are. So we have Benjamin Bunny's jacket, Flopsy Bunny's cape, and Lucy's hanky. So she would do the laundry of all the other little critters. Then I made this little laundry line here with actual fabric remnants on it. And then this is a little tuck spot here. It says that no one belongs to old Mrs. Rabbit, and it did so smell of, that one belongs to old Mrs. Rabbit, and it did so smell of onions. And there's some onions here and a hedgehog. And then inside we have, after the wash, Mrs. Tiggywinkle hangs up all kinds of sizes of clothes to air, including a very shrunken blue jacket belonging to Peter Rabbit. Then over here we have a pocket. This is a little map of London on one of my avocado dyed papers. And then this is sort of a garden-y tag with some bread ties printed on back, and this little Sly Mr. Fox journal card in here from Jemima Puddle Duck. Then we have another of the large Beatrix Potter pages, and a Peter Rabbit little glued down tag there for writing on. Another Peter Rabbit tag, and another page we have Mr. Jeremy Fisher, and some carrots up here. And this is a Mr. Jeremy Fisher spread. So we have this gilded picture of Mr. Jeremy Fisher on this collaged pocket, and inside this painting that Beatrix Potter did of water lilies. I made a journal card with that. Another gilded portrait of Mr. Jeremy Fisher fishing. And then over here, we have this tuck spot here. Rupert Potter took this photograph of the Tay River. Like Mr. Jeremy Fisher, he was a gentleman and an avid fisherman. And then we have a little fish playing card there, and a little invitation from Mr. Alderman Ptolemy Tortoise to come for dinner to Mr. Jeremy Fisher's house. And then here we have this large journal card of these beautiful fish by Brian Wildsmith from his book Fishes. And then this is that beautiful wallpaper again, and another of the 4 little bunnies. We have this bunny with eggs in his wagon being pulled by this hen. And in the pocket is this large journal card of Beatrix Potter's characters. Just going to straighten that out. And then another large page from the Beatrix Potter book, The Tailor of Gloucester. And then this is a kitten that she illustrated when she was doing her study for Tom Kitten. And then the Sly Mr. Fox. And this is from a book cover of the bunnies peering in the window. And some ducklings here, and Beatrix Potter with one of her dogs. This is a little tuxput of foxgloves. And then here we have a little, this is just a fun little page that talks about coats of arms. So this was Beatrix Potter's family crest at Hilltop, hanging in her Hilltop home. And then down here, she gave Samuel Whiskers his own coat of arms in a book plate inside the front cover of his book. his motto was Resurgam, Latin for I shall triumph again. And so he's a rat, which is like totally, you know, appropriate. So then this is a letter to Samuel Rat, High Barn. Sir, I hereby give you 1 day's notice to quit my barn and stables and byre with your wife, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren to the latest generation. Signed, William Potatoes, farmer. Witness, Gilbert Cat and John Stoat Ferret. So this is William Potatoes, the farmer, telling them, you better get out of my barn. I love the name William Potatoes, 100% support that name. And so more of the large Jeremy Fisher page. Then this is just a beautiful, like, English kitchen. I don't think this is from Beatrix Potter's home or anything, but I did add Tom Kitten on the table there. And it's of the same feeling for sure. And then this is just a little journal card with windows that I made. It's like a little leaf and flower study. It says, when the yellow head of a dandelion turns into a fuzzy ball, the dandelion is ready for a wind or a breeze to call. And then back here we have the dandelion little tuck spot with some Tom Kitten study there that Beatrix Potter drew. And that just tucks in here. And then another little image from Beatrix Potter. Believe there is a great power silently working all things for good. And that is one of her quotes. Another 4 little bunnies pocket here. We're flipping a pancake on this old stove. And then this is a beautiful butterfly page that I painted with some really amazing watercolors. Our little bunnies here sleep in the garden. This is just a little pocket here with Peter Rabbit and some botanicals, and it has this beautiful owl and crows and a duck. This is a little piece of stationery on a large Beatrix Potter page from the book. And Peter being put to bed. And then old Mr. Brown's little tab there. Some botanicals and a little squirrel write-up. This is a little Peter Rabbit pocket on this envelope, and this was from a children's book. It says house, and I just added some of Beatrix's bunnies there, and it has the letter I on the back, but can be written on. And then in these envelope flaps, we have 2 large journal cards, and this is a center spread. These books, by the way, have 7 signatures. So as I said, they are quite large scrapbooks, which I think is kind of necessary for a scrapbook if you want to add things to a big book. And then this is the frog that came to visit Mrs. Tiggywinkle, one of her many unwanted visitors. And then down here we have this little mouse, the frog here going, you know, sort of just channeling that frog. And then this little tag. The Tale of Mrs. Tittlemouse was first written out as a New Year's present for Nellie Warren. Her family called it Nellie's Little Book. So sorry, I said Mrs. Tiggywinkle. I meant Mrs. Tittlemouse. I always mix them up. Mrs. Tittlemouse is clearly the mouse, and she's the one who gets all of the unwanted visitors. She's also a neat freak and is always cleaning because she doesn't want all these little bugs that visit her to visit her. But these are some of the illustrations that Beatrix did of the insects for this story. And this, of course, is in fact Nellie Warren. And that's a little journal tag. That's a tuck spot, as is this. And there are some of the unwanted guests there. These frogs all having their dinner. And this is a Peter Rabbit large page. We have Jemima Puddle Duck and her sly fox. And there's Mrs. Tittlemouse and some leaves on my avocado dyed paper. This is a page from a beautiful Beatrix Potter guest book. So it's got lots of fun botanicals and all such illustration. Lots of writing space there. And then the little badger down here. This is one of the bad boys that Beatrix Potter illustrated. A little squirrel, squirrel nutkin, a tuck spot here with the badger and the bunnies and the fox there. This little, this is from, what is the pig's name? I forget. I didn't spend enough time on this poor pig. I completely forget, but I love the little black pig who's the wife of the pink pig. It's like, I want to say Mr. Piggly Wiggly, but I know that's not his name. Or Pigglewinks or something. That's not his name. And then here we have Beatrix and her fiance at the time. This is their engagement photo. And I've added this botanical sticker and a little sticker stamp. And this is also a tuck spot. This is a plushie of her pig. And this is another of the large pages. There's another of the pigs right there. Squirrel Nutkin, the little guinea pigs. And then this large journal card, like the one in the front of this book, is Beatrix Potter in her later life, holding on to her 2 puppies here. She liked Pekingese dogs, and so here are some of her characters down here. And then a little stamp of Peter Rabbit. And another little bunny tag, Mrs. Tiggywinkle. This is a little envelope, so out the side we have this little journal card that just slides in here. And then we have Mrs. Tittlemouse, or no, the Tailor of Gloucester up above, I believe. Yeah. And then this is another little card for writing on. Beatrix Potter, the lady who wrote for children. So this is from that large book about her. Then we have the little hedgehog on cabbage dyed paper. This is a little tuck spot. So this is from a much later publication where she did a book of fairy tales that she worked on for a very long time. And then this little mouse carrying a tray of food. This is Tom Kitten, or sorry, Miss Moppet. And this is like a cabinet card, and it pulls down. We see Beatrix Potter up at the top here. I cut that out of the front of one of her books. And this is all just writing space on both sides. It's like a little jack-in-the-box. The end of the tale of Mr. Jeremy Fisher. Squirrel Nutkin, those 4 little bunnies. And this journal card of Mr. Jeremy Fisher on this wallpaper. A little red leaf there, and a Reynard fox, and some floral little bunnies. More Peter Rabbit, this tuck spot with the bunnies on some of my fun hand-dyed paper. This shade of pink. This is avocado dyed paper with Jemima Puddle Duck and the fox. The Tale of Mrs. Tiggywinkle. This is from the original book. A little drawing of Peter Rabbit from later on. And then bunnies all around the table here. This is some of Mr. Jeremy Fisher, who's there with Alderman Ptolemy Tortoise. And then we have a little Peter Rabbit tab. This is a piece of Beatrix Potter fabric that I just kept as this lovely little center treat spread. You could pin little things on it or glue them on, doesn't matter. This was one of Beatrix Potter's pets. It's Judy the Lizard from 1884. And here we have Peter's jacket hanging with the birds around it. And then another large picture from Squirrel Nutkin from that large book. And then we have the rat down here. And Peter up here. The end of the tale of Peter Rabbit and the mice. And Benjamin Bunny. This is just an empty pocket. It's so pretty with the birds and the leaves and the acorns. It's from a Beatrix Potter coloring book. And then we have the kittens up here, and Tom Kitten, Miss Muppet. Once upon a time, there were 3 little kittens, and their names were Mittens, Tom Kitten, and Moppet. They had dear little fur coats of their own, and they tumbled about the doorstep and played in the dust. And then we have this little flower. This is a tuck spot of this fun like castle. It's from a children's book, and all these shrubs kind of look like chess pieces. And this is another large format book page of Squirrel Nutkin. A little postcard of Peter's mother, and this is from the Beatrix Potter coloring book. It's just a little journal tag or stationery on the cabbage dyed paper. One of Beatrix Potter's sparrows. Now this is the sort of little write-up about Beatrix Potter's life, and it's just a 1-page sort of summary of, you know, birth to death, essentially, the biggest highlights of her life. And then this says Summer Rain Lover. It's about maidenhair spleenwort. And this is some large construction paper with some carrots and leaves down here. This is some beautiful linear drawings from the large format paper here. The Tale of Benjamin Bunny. Peter eating his carrots with another tab. the guinea pigs. And then this is from the Four Little Bunnies on my avocado dyed paper. Another large journal card of all her characters. This kitten study up here. So this is when Peter Rabbit is in the garden hiding under a basket and the kitten sits on top. And then this is Mrs. Tiggy Winkle doing her washing and having a tea party. This little tuck spot says Beatrix Potter, and this is the Tailor of Gloucester from that large coloring book. Some of my eco-printed paper, and another of the large pages. Another envelope, and on this side we have this of Peter and his mother. And this is after he gets back from Mr. McGregor's garden. I think he's thanking his lucky stars and probably learning almost nothing, like most naughty little bunnies. And then another botanical there, and a couple of Beatrix Potter sort of pieces. This is a floral tag and this little bunny in a box here. Another Peter Rabbit, or sorry, the Flopsy Bunnies. It's not Peter, it's the mom and the others. Another envelope with this large journal card, scenes from Peter Rabbit and Jemima Puddle Duck. And then this one is from the, is it the Two Bad Mice? And I like this one because it's got the, so this was like a model of like a pretend kind of police constable that was in the dollhouse. And then this is some of my eco-printed paper. This says Good Little Bunnies, and it's a tuck spot made from that Four Little Bunnies book with Jeremy Fisher in the background. And another of the large format Jeremy Fisher pages and botanicals. A little collage of Peter Rabbit and some of the little mice there. That's a journal card. This little bee tab illustrated by Beatrix, as well as this little tab of the mouse. And then this is that kind of classic looking illustration that you see inside the front of all of the Beatrix Potter books, except it's big and I love it. And then we have a little Mrs. Tiggy Winkle down here. This is an owl pocket, so you can tuck something in there. Some of the bunnies and little mouse. The other side of that beautiful intro page, and another large format page from the book of Mrs. Tiggy Winkle. A Tom Kitten tab. Another bunny here, Peter Rabbit and Other Stories by Beatrix Potter. That's the name of this large format book. Over the Hills and Far Away. That's another of the Four Little Bunnies with this journal card inside. Favorite fairy tales. So we have here the badger and then this bird. Some botanicals. Some squirrels here. This is a little tuck spot with this robin and a plant. It says Once Upon a Time. And then this is another where I've taken a piece of art and done some Beatrix Potter collaging. So I've added this little mouse on the top of the fireplace, and then Tom Kitten sitting down here in the corner. This little kitten drinking milk. And then this little Lake District squirrel. Bunny, Jeremy Fisher. Those scattered botanicals, and I've put an original book page of a Beatrix Potter book here. This is from Miss Moppet and Tom Kitten. Is it a secret that no one is telling why in your garden surely they're dwelling? And some blackberries and Peter Rabbit sitting on this chair. This is from the original story of Samuel Whiskers. It's the book plate that I glued down. This tuck spot here, Benjamin Bunny, and this is Mice, Rats, Shrews, and Voles. A little die-cut flower and Peter Rabbit, a red leaf. Some of the kittens and some collaging, another original page from the book. A large coloring book page of Jemima Puddle Duck with her sly fox. And then this is a little girl feeding some sheep, and it says, Shepherdess of fields on high, driving your 1,000 sheep, flocks that stray across the sky and clouds that sail the deep. Because we know that she became a shepherdess. And then we have a little bunny here, another of the large format pages from Jeremy Fisher. And then we reach the end of the book, and my signature and date are down here. And this is another one of those beautiful end papers that I've put together from the different stories. So this is the end of volume 1. There will be a volume 2 that sort of is the later story of her life, but I haven't really like depicted it all that way. Like I didn't, just do her early stories in one and her late stories in the other. It's more about the image of her on the cover, and I've tried to encapsulate most of the parts of her life into both of these books. So this is volume 1. I will be filming volume 2 very soon. Thank you for joining me and have a great day. Bye for now.